It means the party is using force and using force in order to make another party accept the contract. A contract entered into under duress is voidable at the instance of the party coerced. Using force, coercion, or threats of violence calculated to produce fear in the mind of the person threatened to accept the contract, if it is proven by courts of law, makes the contract null and void. A case in point, Canning versus Ince, an old lady was threatened with unlawful confinement in a mental home. Mental homes are supposed to be homes for the mad people. If she did not transfer certain property rights to one of her relatives, the transfer was set aside by court of law because the threat of unlawful imprisonment amounted to duress. So for contracts to be lawful, there shouldn't be an element of duress or coercion. Both parties must have free consent. Their minds must meet. In law, that's what we call consensus ad idem. The third vitiating factor of a contract is called undue influence. Undue influence. A contract is said to be induced by undue influence if the freedom of one party in a contract is infringed upon. The other party takes advantage of the inequality between him and the other party to force the agreement of the other party. The following are relationships where undue influence is presumed. Undue influence is where there are two parties or more than two parties, but you find one party has more influence than the other. And the weaker party must dance to the tunes of the stronger party. If it is proven, also the contract becomes null and void. For instance, in a case of a parent and a child, the parent can easily influence the child. Doctor, patient, advocate and client. Advocates are lawyers and then their clients. Guardian and ward, where an undue influence is sufficiently proved to have existed at the time of the contract, then the contract is voidable in favor of the party whose influence was dominated. Another vitiating factor of a contract is illegality. Illegality as another vitiating factor of a contract. Illegality as another vitiating factor of a contract. An illegal contract is one which is prohibited by law. For example, making a contract to break in a house to steal goods is an illegal contract. The contract rendered illegal may be void depending on the circumstances, as in the case of Mahmoud and Isafan, 1921. So, any contract entered, any illegal contract makes the contract null and void, and illegality is also a vitiating factor of a contract. Another vitiating factor of a contract is misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is another vitiating factor of a contract. What is misrepresentation? This is wrong representation, either innocently, wrong representation, either innocently or intentionally made with the aim to deceive the other party. It is of three types. It is a wrong representation, which can be made by a party or parties innocently or intentionally to deceive the other party. So it means there is an element of deceit, and it is of three types. That is fraudulent misrepresentation, innocent misrepresentation, or negligent misrepresentation. I normally ask questions. Now suppose I say, the following are types of misrepresentation except. The following are types of consideration except. The following are types of offer except. So as you are revising the law of contract, you should understand these types. I've said there are three types of misrepresentation: fraudulent misrepresentation, innocent misrepresentation. Fraudulent, it means it is wrong representation by a party with ill motives and intentional. That is fraudulent. Someone wants to misrepresent another party in a contract, but he has bad motives. But then we have innocent misrepresentation, wrong representation, but there is no malice aforethought. Someone is doing it innocently. There is no malice. You know, we call it malice aforethought. Then we have negligent misrepresentation. You are misrepresenting another party negligently. Therefore, once it is proved that there was misrepresentation, what you are supposed to submit and by a party, but you reach there and you represent your own things, it also renders the contract null and void. Therefore, in summary, I've said the taking factors include mistake, and I've said the mistake overall is not a vitiating factor. I've said the vitiating factor is a mistake of fact. Then the second vitiating factor, which I've explained, apart from mistake, I've also explained illegality as a vitiating factor. Illegality, then from illegality, duress, and undue influence, misrepresentation. So those are the vitiating factors of the contract. And I've said vitiating factors are factors, these are factors which render a valid contract and it becomes null and void. Briefly, let me start another topic which I'll finish next time. After finishing the law of contract, I will also give you another quiz. I encourage you to revise the law of contract exhaustively. Let us start briefly another topic, and I will complete it next time. And as I've said, after completing it next time, I will not give you a test until I've explained the law of contract fully, and then I examine you to ascertain whether you are revising your notes. So for today, let us start capacitate contract. Capacitate. Capacitate contract. Today I'm hearing some cows. So capacitate contract. This is the competence of parties to enter into contracts. When we talk of capacitate contract, parties to the contract must have the competence to contract. And this is an essential element of a valid contract. Otherwise, if contracts